Alright, what's up guys? Here we go. This is the final part. Right now you can see I'm just cleaning up the insulator. You'll forgive the noise, I'm working on the coils that I'm going to show you at the end of this. Um, this is the material that I wound up using for the insulator is basically it's just Delrin. Um, It's rated for a higher temperature than what the nylon that I've used previously is, although I can't imagine that my nylon's that weak because I've yet to melt an insulator. Working with about 3 feet of 18 gauge here. Um, there I am just threading it. The insulator is threaded into the deck of the RDA. You'll remember from the deck video, that's actually how I threaded the deck. Well, that's where the insulator is going now. And then threading the inside for the positive post to thread into it. The insulator actually came out very thick, and I took the very top section off of it. But here I actually found some of the footage of working on the positive post. I don't have everything, but I've got the majority of it. Unfortunately, other than just dumping oil, squirting oil onto the copper while I'm turning it on the small lathe, I don't have any coolant that I can use with it. And copper doesn't turn for crap unless you can run coolant or lubricant on it. As a result, I get terrible finishes on the copper with this. I wound up taking this piece back to the back lathe and worked on it quite a bit there. It's just, copper is very soft and it gums up really badly. It doesn't just cut clean like steel or even like a brass or bronze. Here you can see I took it back to the big lathe and cleaned it up the way I wanted it. I didn't want to waste much material here. I wasn't sure how much I had, so I spent the time to dial it in with the dial indicator. Trying to pay as much attention to the video as I am to the coils. And that's all the video I have of the positive post. Here I am turning down for the copper post, which actually failed. I don't have it on video, but after I finished making these, I actually broke one of the posts test fitting it before I started filming for the install. So you'll see the entire process for these, and then you'll see the entire process again when I make the brass ones. I went ahead and made brass replacements simply because the copper was such a pain in the ass. And it took, I think I had almost 2 full hours of time invested in the copper post by the time it was all said and done. And did a lot of threading and off camera of the actual set screw holes, and it was all the time I spent doing that was wasted. And the worst part is, if I'd had it on film, I probably wouldn't have felt so bad about it, but it made me even more angry that I didn't have it on film. And you can see how terribly that stuff turns. You can't turn it cleanly. I suppose I should actually work on putting some music into some of this when I'm not talking, but as it stands, I've got 4 hours of video that I had to compress down to make this, and that's just by increasing the speed. almost everything is run at 16 times normal speed on this video. I slowed a couple of points down just to accentuate how much actual work I put into this, but overall it's all just run at 16 times, which doesn't really make me feel any better. It's a ton of time that goes into it. It takes just as long to lay it out as it does to actually do the work. And I actually chose not to put in a bunch of video of me sitting there just trying to lay out the deck, just even for that one little line you can see in the blue. That blue is actually it's layout dye. It's basically like an alcohol-based dye that you can put on. You can either brush it on out of a container or spray it on out of a paint can. We use the spray-on type at work. But there I am, threading them all in together. And of course, right after I cut these off and threaded them, cleaned them up, I broke one in the freaking deck. So the next thing you'll see is me making brass ones. Oh, no, I lied. You see me drilling and tapping the set screw holes. I apologize. I feel terrible for lying to you like that. I guess I shouldn't feel too bad sitting here winding these coils. These things are monstrous. Just a side note, if you're interested, the mod that I'm going to build for this, here I am turning the brass down to start it on the brass ones. The mod that I'm going to build to power this thing is it's going to be a monster. There's really no other way to put it. But it's also going to be ridiculously expensive. It's pretty much been the 3S and the 4S have been really closely tied. 4S has kind of stayed ahead for the most part. In the comments, you guys telling me which ones you think I should use. Here I am just playing with some different camera angles. As I said, it takes a long time just setting up to record. And even setting up the material takes forever as well. But it's going to be ridiculously expensive. And as I said the other day, regardless, I'm going to build it because I'm building it for myself. But it's going to take a long time for me to get this stupid thing built and get the materials bought. I'm looking at the 3S lipos would be almost $80 cheaper for the two of those, but the 4S lipos would give me 7,000 watts of working power. It's insane, I know. That would be a 0.03 ohm coil at full power. Obviously, actually vaping at 7,000 watts is insane, but as I've covered in my PWM videos, you may not need 7,000 watts, but what you might need is the ability to put a lower coil in it without worry of overloading your battery and your components. If I'm going to be putting a 0.05 ohm build in it, then I want to know that the lipo that I'm driving that with is going to be capable of handling it. And all of this brass work so far is literally just me parting it down to the point. Here I've got it laid out and actually starting to work on the posts, but everything else was literally all the machine work to get it down to a usable point. And I really hated doing that. That was a huge amount of brass that I wasted to make those coils. But I really didn't have any other way to do it. And I wish I'd made the positive post out of brass. I don't think I would have had enough if I had done that, though. But anyways, if you guys enjoy these videos and you want to see more of it, if you want to see more video like this of me building the mod, please feel free to go check out my Patreon page. I've got it set up. I'll link it in the description. As I've said, I don't really care if you help me or not. I mean, let's change that. I do care. I am extremely grateful if you want to help, but it doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't. I understand. I know exactly how hard it is, how hard times are. I'm right there with you. But here in just a second, I will actually be playing this at 2 times. This is the one specific thing I wanted to show you. Basically, I have it mounted in the lathe. This is running 2x. And this is the entire process just of drilling and tapping the set screw hole on the small lathe. And it is extremely tedious. And I was actually working basically as fast as I could. Give you guys something to look forward to at the end of this. Woo-wee. It is actually extremely difficult to keep a tap straight manually. So putting it in the lathe and using the tailstock to chase it is wonderful. And of course, I wish I had a tap holder for the tailstock, but unless the shop buys one, I won't have one. As you can see, it's a very long process. Come on, baby. Almost got the coils where I want them. I will say that with there we are, screwing them in. Geez, I'm not even paying attention to the video. I will say with the AC voltage, this is the first set of coils I've actually built using the transformer. And it actually welds the coils together. Here we are. This was actually this morning for me, milling the positive post down to the proper width. This was a very, very touch and go process. It's the first thing I've ever actually successfully milled in the lathe for my e-cig work, or milled in the lathe. First thing I've ever successfully milled for my e-cigs. I've actually tried making RDAs in the mill before. It's a lot more difficult than it seems, guys. Oh baby, we're getting there in a hurry. And then milled the top down flat, sprayed it with the dye, and then laid out the places for the holes for the posts, and I drilled those. And you will notice after I drill the first hole right at the very end, it's real quick. The post turns ever so slightly. I put a lot of torque on it, and it burned my fingers. My fingers are blistered. You could see it right there when I grabbed it. It blistered my fingers so bad. I don't know what I was thinking. And here we are turning that excess positive post down on the bottom, and then I took the file and rounded it off pretty, and then I've polished it up a little bit with the Dremel here at the house. Oh, these coils are freaking beautiful. And top pictures of the airflow holes. I was way too tired at this point to even jack with the camera. And then a good close-up of the deck once it's all finished. And we'll get over here and give you a pretty picture of my face. Alright, so over the course of that entire video, golly, you can't even see my face. Over the course of that entire video, I got the coils built. I used 18 gauge nichrome 80, some of the lifetime supply of wire that I've got, and got it mounted up. I've got it connected to my transformer right now because that's the only thing I've got that can power it, and the only way I have to hook up to it since it's got a massive thread on it. But there you go. That is 12 wraps of 18 gauge on this 11/64 brass rod. Technically it's 0.335 inches, just over 8.5 millimeters in diameter. So absolutely insane coils. Final dimensions are 69.59 millimeters exactly. I can legitimately say that I have the world's largest RDA. I have made it myself. The biggest RDA in the world. Anyone wants to link me to a bigger one? By all means. But somebody needs to get a hold of Alliance and let them know that they're going to have to change their video titles now. Because their fat boy is pretty freaking skinny. I've been thinking about how I was going to say that all day. That's not big enough. Crap. I have to get more cotton balls. I'm literally going to have to use an entire cotton ball just like that. Now you see, I just unrolled it. The coils are too fat to do any other way. Look, that wasn't even tight. Are you serious right now? This is amazing. This is truly, truly amazing. No, I won't make you one. I've got, I think, over 12 hours of machine time in this, and going on $100 worth of materials. Were I to buy the materials again, it would cost me about $100. So you're looking at you know, $1,000 piece of equipment if I were going to make any money off of it. And that wouldn't even make very much. That would just basically pay for my labor and the cost of the materials. Alright, those are pretty squared up. I'm leaving them kind of big anyways. This is going to be crazy hot. This should ohm out to right about 0.3-ish. I can't tell you for certain because I don't know where the heck my ohm meter went. Now when I get to work Monday morning, I realized that our motor tester, we've got a $35,000, call it a surge tester, and it's made for testing electric motors. the windings. It's ridiculously accurate. I think it's got a 6,000 volt limit. The DC tests, it can check the mega ohms of resistance to ground. It can check the highest potential, up to 6,000 volts DC to test to ensure that you're well insulated. I actually played with it on my Maximus. We've got a handheld version that'll test to 1,000 volts, and the insulator held up to a 1,000 volt mega ohm test. Granted, the current is super low, but I would say that's a pretty good job. But it has a resistance test built into it, and it reads to the 4th digit of resistance, the 10,000th of an ohm. And I was actually using it to test the coils that I've got in the Lysimo right now. Wake up, computer. Because the Lysimo says they're 0.27. I was curious. It actually does apply, the tester at work actually applies a decent amount of voltage and about 2 amps of current. So I did have to take the Addy off of the Lysimo to check it. But it came out to 0.2722. So it'll read to the 10,000th of an ohm. So I can literally fine tune the coils for the exact resistance that I want. I can check each coil individually. If they're not connected together, I can actually connect it to the leads. Very, very cool. It would still cost at least $1,000 for a used version of just the resistance tester, and I don't think even the portable testers read past the 1,000th of an ohm. So I'll be able to tell you down to the 10,000th of an ohm what these coils are. Now this deck is not very thick, and I have noticed since I press fit the 1.5-inch diameter brass into the larger brass, that around that press fit, once it starts getting warm, the fluid starts leaking through. So on the bottom side of the deck, I think I'll put just a really fine layer of clear nail polish, and that'll keep it from flowing through. I'll have to clean it up real good before I do that. But this still takes just an insane amount of fluid to soak up. It just keeps soaking and keeps soaking. I don't know if I'll ever get enough fluid on it with these massive freaking wicks. And because this is 18 gauge, and my experience with 18 gauge, especially at higher voltages, has told me that it is a very hot vape no matter how you do it, I am tucking the wick very heavily under the coil. In an attempt to keep it semi-cool. It soaked all the fluid up off the deck. I want to make sure these are good and saturated, because it actually took less cotton than I expected, but it still took a massive amount of cotton. I think we're getting close. I think we're ready for a test fire anyways. Shield your eyes. You can hear it buzzing. My God. Okay, so I actually haven't had a chance to make a drip tip for this yet, so I just took a piece of the Delrin that I had and used my Dremel to make a little plug that goes in there to kind of space my mouth off from the tip. One thing I have noticed, which is a huge drawback of this, which is going to affect the drip tip that I make tremendously, these airflow holes, when you blow into it, blow the hot vapor right on your face. I did not expect that at all. Also, these are not angled. They are perfectly straight up and down with this. I do not have any equipment capable of freaking putting them in at an angle yet, so I'll have to make another top cap at some point. Although the drip tip that I'm going to make is going to have a brass heat sink on it that kind of comes out over the top of the coils to blow the vapor away from my face. Basically a shield for the vapor coming out of the airflow holes. Whoa! Oh! And there's your answer. Yes, it whistles. But it only whistles on the side where I got the holes really good and concentric and a really nice clean arc. And I got all of the chamfers at the exact same depth. On the side that they're not even and not at the same depth of the chamfer, they don't whistle. It tastes incredible though. Mediocre on the flavor, or on the density of the vapor. Although I think I could take some height off of that barrel and shorten this thing down a little bit too. It would help. Yep. 18 gauge at 500 watts is hot. My God, that thing is crazy. Oh. That'll give you a nicotine buzz in a hurry. Let me give you a direct side by side of this and the Maximus. So there's this really cool thing, and there's a lot of ways to explain it. Basically, if you take a cube that is 1 square inch, we'll just say a cube because it's easier. If you take 1 square inch cube and you double it in size so that you've got a cube that is literally twice the size, it has 4 times the mass, which means if it was hollow, it has 4 times the internal area. The Maximus is 36 millimeters. This one I think is, I think it's actually 36, yes. 36 and a half. This is 69 and a half. So, what, this would be 72 if it were doubled. So I'm only 2.5 millimeters shy of twice the size of the Maximus, which means that the internal area inside of this is 4 times as much, which means that this is a very airy RDA. It's got 1 inch of internal airflow holes coming into it, and I've got the basically my drip tip will control the airflow coming out. I could have gone with a lot less airflow on this. There's a ton of area inside of this RDA for vapor, so it would take not only massive coils but a lot more power to be able to get the same kind of density out of it. That was one of the things I was curious about when I was building it, and it seems to be living up to that. That's a man's RDA right there. tastes so freaking good, you guys. You have no idea. Kind of tuck this cotton in a little bit, get it a little tighter in these coils. I should have made it even bigger. It's literally sagging under the weight of the fluid on it, or soaked into it. Let's talk about the mod that I'm going to use, that I'm going to build for this when it's all said and done. Once again, I want you guys to put in the comments whether you think I should use 3S or 4S lipos. The 4S would allow a much more power, and but it would cost twice as much for a good 4S setup. Also, as it was mentioned, voltage is going to be key in this. The more voltage you can get, higher voltage is better flavor from what I've experienced. That's a little better. So it's going to be stupid powerful either way. But you guys let me know what you think. Whichever one gets the most comments when I finally have the money to do it is going to be the one that I buy. Whether it's 3S or 4S, you guys make that decision. If you want to go check out my Patreon page, you are more than welcome to do that. Even if you don't intend to pledge any money towards it, check it out. I will be putting posts on there. I'm not going to make any of the posts. I'm not going to make you have to pay to view the posts. Man, if you wanted to, you could really gouge some people for that stuff. And I did also add the tops in on that. I showed the spinning tops in my previous video. God, this is going to make this video really long. I guess you'll just have to deal with it. I apologize. That is so freaking awesome. I put it at the $50 pledge mark. The reason I did that was to, well, basically because of the cost and the time associated with making them, and that will also help cover the shipping cost, because I intend to pay to ship it to you guys. I had someone ask if I would ship it to the UK. Sure, I don't really care. I mean, whatever. I'll ship it wherever you want. It's just a spinning top. I doubt that customs is going to have an issue with a freaking little steel top. But also, for a couple of the lower pledge ranges, I added in where I'll actually build you guys some Clapton coils and send those out. I can't just accept the money without giving you guys something in return, aside from a kick-ass video. And I'm trying to make these videos kick-ass. I guess I should probably put some more fluid on these. It's still pretty heavily saturated. This is so heavy. Okay, for the sake of not making this video any longer, I'm going to go ahead and call this. I really hope you guys like this. Feel free to ask any questions you like. I may actually do a Q&A on this here pretty quick. But let me know what you guys think. Vape on, guys.